Hey guys, welcome back. It's the TED Show. I'm Ted Bogert. I am very excited to have this young lady on the show. Daman Philip is coming all the way to us from India, and we are going to talk about communication results from connection, not vice versa, even though that's what I put in there. You
Yeah.
want to communicate. We want to teach you how that works and why connection is so important. By we teach you, she's going to give you some pointers. So welcome to the show. How are you today or tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yes, it's 9:30 p.m. where I am. Thank you
Woo!
for having me on the show.
I'm
I'm
so excited
excited.
to have you. I love your social media. I want you guys to follow her on social media. I love what you put out there. I love this topic too, because I think a lot of people don't know what connection even means, and they don't know how important it is in their daily life, whether that be business or personal or faith or
Yeah.
spiritual. The connection is so important, and the communication is just prime right there. So before we take a dive into that, tell them a little bit about you.
Oh, well. Okay. So I come from India, as you just mentioned. I was born in a city called Pune, but I spent the last 42 years in Dubai, Middle East. By career, I'm an ICF certified relationship coach and the founder of the Life Experts. And what I essentially do here is help those who are struggling in their relationships find the clarity, the transparency to recommit to their relationship, or then, just find the courage and the composure to release it without any fear or regret. So that's what I do. Also, what I do, Ted, is supporting people who've been diagnosed with ADHD to help them to better manage their lives. But all this said and done, I'm now finding my feet back in India. I had departed from India at a very young age of 18, and I've just kind of migrated back a couple of months back.
Wow.
Yeah, I
And
believe,
that's a big
sometimes.
thing. Why?
What brought me back to India?
Yeah. Yeah. What brought you back?
Wisdom. Jokes
That's a great answer.
Jokes apart, I knew, Ted, somewhere in the depths of my life that it was time to come back, time to return back. Like always believe life has come full circle for me. I went at a young age of 18. I went there to make some money. I, I was young. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. There was a lot of adventure attached to it.
Sure.
Um, and you know, I enjoyed my stay. Dubai has been great. But like I tell everyone, I chose what was right over what was comfortable at a certain time in my life. My son had returned back. I have a son who's an architect. He came back from Australia. He was there for a long time, and he returned back. My mother's in India. She's aging, so these are some of the reasons. Plus, of course, I had established my own company
Sure.
called Life Experts, and most of the work in Life Experts went online. I said, these are the reasons I think I need to go back.
You
I need
pivoted.
to be back.
I love
Time
that you
to
pivoted. I
turn
love
back.
that you pivoted. There's a lot of love coming on, and I'm going to post some of it while I'm talking. Tell us why, though, the life. I want to get into the life experts, but tell us why. How did you get to that? Because it's one thing to, you're 18, you go to Dubai, you want a new adventure, new world. What brought you to this particular type of business? And it is a business, even though it's your passion. What brought you there? Did you know at 18 that you wanted to be a relationship coach or any kind of coach, or did you have a path that took you there?
No, I did not know that at 18. It's a long story, but long story short, um, moments in my relationship, in my own relationship, where we realized that there had been a continued lack of compatibility. You say the sizzle, so to say, was gone. And we just needed to move on, and we did so on mutual ground. Ted, sometimes I wish that marriage came with a manual, but it doesn't.
Marriage or parenthood, neither come with a manual.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine if you were to give away driving licenses as we give away marriage licenses. You know, what's going to happen? I mean, what would happen if you just gave away the car keys to an 18-year-old without any instructions?
It's
Probably
true.
crash, right?
Yep.
So when it comes to relationship, most people that I know get no instruction manual. So why are we shocked and surprised when so many crash? So I was just 18 coming back to it. I was young, got married young. um, Over time I learned to understand and value relationships for what they truly are. I came to believe an important thing in my life, that there are no bad relationships. It's just the lack of the latest strategies that gets people behind the instruction manual that I was talking about. So I started telling my story, my own story, to those who were struggling. And I experienced how telling my story could transform another person's life. The willingness to be vulnerable. It's scary, but
It's
it's
very
attractive as
scary, but
well.
look at the reward. That's what I love what you're saying is people are so afraid of it. And rightly
Yeah.
so. I get why people are afraid of it because there are people out there are toxic people that would take advantage and try to utilize that. But I always tell
Yeah.
people it's still better to be vulnerable. You can never really lose with that as long as you've got a little strength behind it. Now, if you're vulnerable and a victim and get taken advantage of all the time because your
Yeah.
vulnerability, you allow it to be a negative, I always view it
Yeah.
as a positive.
It is. It is. Ted, sharing both the highs and lows of my own experience made it opened the doors for other women to see themselves and what might be possible for them. You
Yes.
know, so overcoming my own fear to share my story honestly was worth it.
Yep.
I had seen the good side of a marriage, I had seen the bad side of marriage, and what lay in between. So over time, I developed a deep passion, and I made a commitment to myself, and I said, I'm going to support and I'm going to handhold those who wish to address their relationship challenges and have, a closer, a more fulfilling relationship, minus the drama and the conflict.
Correct.
You know,
Tell us, I want to
so
ask you, tell me about, so I think people do struggle in relationships. I've been married, it'll be 30 years next month. And people are like, what's the secret? I'm like, well, I don't want to go to jail. Divorce is not an option. And I would never want to be divorced, but I tell people it's daily work. It's work on
it is.
yourself and work on your relationship. And not
Yeah,
every day is perfect. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of
absolutely.
imperfect days, but I'm committed to the relationship. And then what
Yeah,
I have to do is figure out the tools in my life to make the relationship work. And I think we all
absolutely.
have to do that because we're
Yeah,
individuals, right? I mean,
yeah,
I'm Ted, she's Stacy, and we're two humans trying to come together to create a life and
yeah,
live and sleep in the same bed. What's that all about?
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
what you're saying is so important because there is no manual. We just don't know how to do what we're supposed to do after you say I do.
Yeah. And look, emotional infidelity, or you talk about lost passion or lack of compatibility, or, you talk about mistrust, waning appreciation. These are not unique challenges.
Right.
Life changes, misunderstandings are an inevitable part of any relationship. But the conflict, the drama, the disconnection doesn't have to be, you
No.
know?
Yes, it
So,
doesn't have to be the final straw or the
yeah,
that broke the camel's back, but I think a lot of people, because we're sort of in a world where everything's immediate. So if I'm unhappy, then okay, I'm done. I'm going to go find happy instead of
yeah,
working on the thing that you have in front of you. And this isn't just, I mean, obviously we're talking about personal relationships, but this could
Yes.
apply to anything. I think
Oh,
about
yes.
my business relationships. Those are like being married. Those are like being in a relationship. And so you
Absolutely.
have to figure out your tools to deal with those too.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. I strongly believe that Ted, every individual has the answers to his own problems.
Agreed.
But I also understand that he might just need some help with the answers. I mean, I don't consider myself an expert, but I'd say that I I am a facilitator of learning.
Yeah.
I'm on a mission to make it safe for every person. I want to do that. I don't want anyone going through the pain, the toxicity that I went through,
Right.
you know?
And by you sharing your story, we have lots of comments which you've been talking about. I've been posting them, and we'll go back and answer them. Lots of love for you, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I think in sharing your story, that's where you get a lot of the power to make the impact, because you're sharing your truth, and then
Yeah.
people, it resounds with them. It is something that makes sense to them, and they're like, okay, I need that help. We all need it. We're all afraid to ask for it, though. I think we have a fear of saying, and there's a stigma attached to talking to somebody about your relationship. Can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that and what you say to people who are like, well, I can't talk about my relationships?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I've come across so many people who I've connected, I've had heart to heart bonds only because I've been vulnerable.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't shy away from telling my story, but there's a learning there. It was, yes, it was toxic, but there were lessons to be learned only if you stop to learn them.
Yes. Yes. And I think people instead, but then they begin to beat themselves up.
Yeah.
Then they begin to go, well, something must be wrong with me because it looks like everybody else has a great relationship, or I can't figure out, everybody loves my significant other and I want to kill them.
Yeah.
There's all of these mixed feelings that go on. And
Yeah.
because we don't have somebody to talk to about it, we're trying to maneuver through it without that manual you were talking about. And it can be very challenging.
It is. It is. I mean, I was in Dubai where I had no mentor, no guide, and nobody to look up to, nobody who could help me out at that point of time when I was struggling.
Right.
And I think that also became a reason for me to go out there and help those who feel that they don't have anyone.
Yeah.
I want to be there for them.
And you are. So tell us about the lifeexperts.com. Tell us what is your practice right now? What are you, sort of like your business model and your clients? Because I think it will help people to know, all right, can I reach out to her? Can I go to the website? Tell them a little bit about how you're working with people.
Okay. So first of all, what I do, Ted, is when I meet my clients, of course, I have a 1 hour strategy session with them just to find out three things: where they are, where they want to go, and what are the roadblocks that are stopping them. Now, once I get that kind of an idea and I onboard them, then I work very closely with them to understand the source of many of their challenges. Um, I know and I completely believe in one thing, that every human has the potential, has a very high potential to manifest their best selves. It's just that they need a little bit of hand holding.
Yes, I agree.
Everybody is capable of doing and putting in their best. Sometimes we just need somebody to hold our hand.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and what I do in the life experts with my consultancy is I safely examine the areas of failure and the areas where they want to be held accountable. By heightening their self-awareness and I work on the self-observation skills, and I use those skills to improve their decision making and performance.
Love that. I absolutely love
So,
that.
you know,
I think it's so important what you're doing. I mean, I know that you're impactful because you've got the calming voice, which is a plus. But you also are speaking from the heart every single time, and
thank you
people
so much.
respond to that. So when you're talking with them, they actually feel like you understand what they're going through, because on some level you do, because you've experienced it and you've shared it with them, what you have going on. I wish more people would allow the hand holding. I think there's a stigma about, well, that'll show weakness, and they think asking for help is a sign of weakness. And I just think it's
Yeah.
the complete opposite. If somebody is in such a place where they come to me and they say, I need help, then I know
Yeah.
it took every ounce of their being to get to that point. And I'm going to do
Yes.
everything in my power to help them. I don't think of them as weak. I actually have a great deal of respect for them for
Yeah.
coming.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people don't know how to do it. They're so afraid. I have people that sit down and go, I'm just so afraid to ask anybody for anything. Well, why? It's not like you're asking for $1 million.
Yeah.
You're asking for some
Yeah.
advice, some insight,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
experience that comes to you. The
Absolutely.
manifestation part is so cool to me, because you're right. I think we all have it in us. We just don't know how to get it out.
We just don't know how to get it out. I mean, it's so difficult for some people to be vulnerable. And there's one more thing, Ted, that I would like to bring out here, and that is the the belief in myself and the belief in the universal power. I have that belief without an iota of doubt. And I have noticed something about it. When you when you believe that the universe always has your back, you attract everything into your life. And I think my life just kind of sums it up, because I base it on that belief that the universal power, the universe always has my back, no matter what happens.
I love that. I've never heard that put it that way. So because what you're creating there, what you're saying to the universe is, I know you've got me. I know I'm going to be backed up and loved, and things are going to happen the way they're supposed to happen. So universe, go do your magic.
Absolutely. It
Work
has been
your
doing it.
magic. I love that you take that approach, because I think a lot of people also, I mean, we could do a whole show on manifestation. I think a lot of people get confused on it. It's sort of like prayer. I compare it to prayer. So prayer, people want to pontificate, use all these big words, and they get caught up in the process rather than the actual prayer, or in this case, the actual
Yeah.
manifestation. I've got to have my
Yeah.
95 candles around me. I've got to do this for a little bit. Oh my God, I got to say the exact right words, or the universe is going to think I'm an idiot and not respond. And it's just not that way
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah. There are two things: your belief in yourself and belief in that power. You call it source energy, whatever. Those two
Yes.
things.
Whatever
You know,
whatever it is, I agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
you know.
All right. So see how fast it goes? Tell them the best way to reach out to you. Oh, you have something else you want to say?
I know. I just lost you for a minute.
Oh, you're still here.
You said the best way to reach me.
Yes. So I want people to engage you. I want them to go and find you, because remember, we're in a world, guys, where coaching can happen anywhere in the world. So I would love for somebody to reach out to you based on the show. And I think people are hungry for what you're offering. So tell them the best way to reach out to you.
Oh, well, I'm pretty active on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, Twitter. My consultancy is called The Life Experts. The website is www.thelifeexperts.com. We also have, by the way, Ted, we also have a brilliant health, weight loss, and lifestyle coach on board. And incidentally, she is my very own sister, Simran Narang. So if anyone is looking for a relationship coach, somebody who's diagnosed with ADHD and needs help to manage it, or then someone who's looking out for support on health, weight loss, and lifestyle management, we could be reached on our website, or just leave us a message on the Life Experts page, and we'll get back to you.
I mean, she is everything she said. She is responsive, kind, giving, vulnerable. I loved this. You got so much love on the show from all of the platforms we're on. So
Oh, well,
please, and we'll all reach back out to you guys on the platform. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm trying to post. You'll see it when you watch it again. I try to post as many of their comments as I possibly could on the bottom. That was wonderful. I'd love to have you come back on. Maybe we can have your sister come back on and talk about
sure.
her expertise. But I want you guys to go to thelifeexperts.com and reach out to Daman, and let's get our lives. Let's be vulnerable together, and let's make improved relationships, communication,
Absolutely.
and connection.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Ted, for having me. It was a pleasure.
You were amazing. All right. Daman Philip, thelifeexperts.com. Reach out to her, you guys. I've tagged her.
Thank you